Hey, good evening. Welcome to Abundant Life Worship Center, Lincoln Park, here for Man Up, week 5. We're going to go chapter 4 in the man-to-man book tonight. Chapter 4 is Battle Buddy, and Battle Buddy is real important. Hopefully you've read it and you'll enjoy the video. Let me also remind you, I'm wearing my Freedom t-shirt. Not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, which I believe is October 26th, is Freedom Sunday. So come on out, and if you want to be baptized, we're doing that for you. Let us know. So tonight is, again, Battle Buddy, real important stuff. Please pay attention, take a few notes, and hopefully you're reading along in the book Man to Man. Thank you.
Welcome to Stand Courageous. I'm Tony Perkins, President of the Family Research Council, and your host on our journey toward biblical manhood. We're quickly covering the 5 core roles and God-given responsibilities of what it means to be a biblical man. Once again, coaching us through these important principles are General Boykin and Stu Weber, 2 old battle buddies that go way back. In fact, they will offer practical advice in this session on that very subject, which is the 4th role of a stand courageous man, that of battle buddy or mentor. Let's watch.
The transforming power of a masculine friendship is unbelievable. Life is a struggle at every level for every person in every way. Life's a battle. So how do we win in the battle? We win through deep personal masculine friendships that go beyond the surface. That's the way life was intended to be. I want you to go back with me to the first day of Ranger School in 1967 in my case. We were all young. We were all in the pipeline to Vietnam. We all knew we were headed there. And the NCO stepped out in front of the formation and he said, now I'm going to give you your first assignment as you go through these next 9 weeks that are going to test you in every area of your life. I want you to identify your Ranger buddy, your battle buddy. Before you take another step into the kind of the roughest training you're going to experience, you have to have a friend, a battle buddy. You're going to go out together and you're going to come in together, and if you don't come in together, you're probably not going to come in, because war is the ultimate battle is like that. In the first 25 verses of the Bible, the Lord dismisses almost the creation of the universe. The universe is no big deal to him. Then you can almost see him rubbing his hands together and saying, now, let us create in our image. That is, could I put it this way, guys? A plurality in unity. Let us create, as the Father, Son, and Spirit walk together, let's create a creature that can learn to walk together and let's make it marriage at the zenith of that. But it's a comprehensive principle that applies not just to marriage, but to all of life. In fact, that first chapter and some of the second chapter is summarized by a major statement. Alone is not good. So how do we men find each other at a level that's other than professional or that's inauthentic or is playing games? How do we get down to the depths of being the kind of mutual mentors that we need to have? Well, Vince Lombardi said it this way to some of the biggest, strongest guys in the world. He said, you football players have got to care for one another. You have to love one another. You have to always be thinking about the other guy. We sometimes call that team spirit. Well, the Bible calls it kindred spirit. And what we men so many times are missing in our lives is kindred spirit. We don't understand that life is a team sport. Everything is a team sport, but we can win. I have a friendship like that with my general here. That's what I call him. I know if I were in trouble, he would come. I know he would be there, and I know he would be there with all that he has and all that he is. That's the kind of friendship David and Jonathan have, and that's the kind of friendship you need in your life to become the man God intends you to be. I want you to look at the friendship of Jonathan and David. Watch as you read those chapters. Look at all the times they're actually talking to one another about the quality of their friendship. Most men don't do that. Most women don't even do that. They talk about their friendship some. But I'm talking about getting to the soul level and talking about the way we find each other. They made covenants. They made vows. They said, I'll be there when you need me. They actually expressed the relationships and the strength of it. That's what we want for you. And to do that, I want you to take that friendship of David and Jonathan and look at it through the lens of a proverb that we all understand and know. It's a proverb we love, 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Picture that now. Picture a blade on steel. Picture the friction, picture the heat, picture the power that holds them together. And I think if we look at that little proverb, we can see some things that we need to understand. No blade is sharpened by a steel just laying there on the table. There's a power, call it the man, that picks those up and puts those two pieces of steel together and rubs them together. That power in your masculine friendship, I call the power of acceptance. You need to learn to accept one another, regardless of who and how you are. Have you ever noticed that every one of us needs affirmation? And when we get it, we become stronger and more capable and more competent. And have you ever noticed you can't affirm yourself? You can't convince yourself enough to be what God wants you to be. But in that powerful friendship, when acceptance becomes affirmation, we move to another level. I remember one time playing basketball in high school. The old coach, I was a young sophomore, he patted me on the fanny and he said, "You got 7 rebounds tonight." Well, you and I know 7 rebounds is no big deal. But then he said, "You're good enough. I'll bet you're going to get 10 next week." Well, of course, that's all I thought about for a week. That affirmation caused me to focus to be better at what we were doing together. I remember one time in these very mountains where my general and I are sitting right now, we were taking a vacation with our families in July and horsebacks. And, you know, we men tend to be a little mission first. The point of the vacation is to get there. So I was pushing, and my boys were boys, and they weren't always pushing well. And so there were a few times where I straightened the direction out, or so I thought. And later when we arrived at the campsite, about 8 miles south of where we're sitting now, and all of a sudden my friend turned to me, and he had already accepted and affirmed and held me accountable in the relationship. And he just said simply, "Stu, I don't want to ever see you talk to one of your boys like that again." Our friendship had gone so deep that he was an authority in my life. And he probably saved my life, probably saved my family, because he was a friend who was with me through thick and thin and would come when I was in trouble. That's the kind of friendship I want for you. God never intended for us to be alone. He never intended for us to fight this thing we call the battle of life by ourselves. And he gives us a number of growth agents. He gives us his word, he gives us his spirit, and he gives us his people. And we want for you a mutually mentoring friendship, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, so you can grow. Let me give you an assignment. If you don't have a friend like that, pray for one. Pray hard for a friend like that, or 2 or 3 or 4. I have probably 4 or 5 because I'm a particularly bad case. I need a lot of help. Pray for a friend like that. When God's kids ask for bread, he never gives them stones. So you start praying for a friendship like that. And then make a list of potential candidates. Maybe you know them by name and you just make a list and you begin to pray over that list. Maybe you don't even know the guy's name and he just sits down in the 5th pew every Sunday over there, and there's something that draws you to him and you have some respect. You don't even know why, but put him on there, the guy that sits in the 5th row on the 4th seat. One of the most basic functions of manhood is initiative. In fact, that's really what the word ish in Hebrew means, is one who takes the initiative, the piercing one. He steps out. So take some initiative. And this is a hard step. That list you've been praying over, could I put it this way? Target one of them. Take some initiative and approach. And find a way to do that that's not overwhelming to you. Maybe you buy a couple of books about manhood and you haven't even read them yet, but you ask the guy to lunch and you give him a book and say, "Hey, how about if we read the first chapter and maybe we'd meet in a week or 2 and talk about it?" And if it doesn't go anywhere, that's okay. You get a free book and a free lunch. But if it goes somewhere, both of our lives might change powerfully. So you've prayed and you've made a list and you've taken some initiative, and then watch it grow and get some regular time together. Every Tuesday morning, I meet with 3 battle buddies. I wish my general was there, but he's a continent away. And he would fit right into the group because none of us have arrived. And that Tuesday morning, I anticipate it. It strengthens me. I walk away from it a better man. And sometimes it's quite corrective for Stu. That's a good thing. So take some initiative, establish a regular time, and let it develop. We've come to the place where we don't even have to have an agenda. We don't even need a book chapter to read, because every time we walk away saying, God met us here in the context of a powerful, transforming masculine friendship. I shared this little home project with a fighter pilot who actually was a squadron commander at one point, and he came up to me afterwards and he said, "Are you trying to make me Mr. Rogers? Not go out and ask for a friend?" And a response hit me that came from somewhere that wasn't inside me, and I said, "Only if you're man enough." He evidently swallowed the pride and started the praying and made the list and initiated contact, and he got back in contact with me probably 9 months later. And he said, "I asked a number of guys and it didn't work, but it finally took. And I have a spiritual wingman now who flies with me through all the storms that I face. I covet that for every one of you. A powerful, deep, addressed, talked about, transforming masculine friendship. You can do this because God wants it for you. Do you want it?"